All right. Welcome back to Sunrise. It's a sunny side of morning TV. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for choosing to rise with us. Well, in the event of a missing child, every second counts. And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, along with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA, continues to focus on strategies to reduce instances of missing children and improve recovery efforts. And today we want to discuss the facts, the fears, and the proactive steps that families and communities can take to aid their efforts. This morning, Sergeant Kayla Keane from JCF's Corporate Communication Network joins us. Haven't seen her on morning TV in a minute. Good morning, Sergeant Keane.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am fabulous, and it's my greatest pleasure to help and debunk some of the myths and help Jamaicans understand what we actually do in a missing person investigation, especially as it relates to kids.
Children, exactly. But let me ask you, Sergeant, where did this myth or erroneous information come from that you have to wait until 24 hours before you can report a missing child? I've seen on many social media platforms, or just even hearing people talk, that they have gone to the police station and the police officer themselves have told them that no, just wait a little bit, come back after 24 hours. Now you're saying that's not so?
Yes, it's not so. That was a very old practice. But we have discovered through research that the first 24 hours is the most critical part of a missing person investigation, especially as it relates to children, because there's actually something that we do. It's called a risk assessment. So once you are under the age of 18, you're automatically a 30 risk, which means that you're high risk. So imagine being left alone as a 8-year-old for 24 hours.
Yes.
No, that's not allowed. That's illegal under the Child Care and Protection Act. So we have to act quickly to ensure that we find the child and either bring them home or have them in a safe place until their parents can pick them up.
And also, this notion, I guess, because maybe back in the day, there was a notion of how do you define someone as missing? They're not missing yet. You just can't find them right now. Maybe methods of communication were different then, and so you couldn't establish that someone was acting out of the norm. But I guess now you're defined as missing once what?
Okay, so you are missing once you're not persons are not able to find you at your usual place of abode. So for example, Miss Kitty's husband would know that she'd be at CVM at this time.
That is it.
So what if she doesn't turn up at CVM?
And nobody at CVM can find her.
Right, and more than likely, all of us have cell phones. What if we call and we are saying, okay, where are you? Can't get her on the phone. So we know immediately that something is not right. So once the person cannot be located where they usually are, and you check secondary location, so if she's not at work, where would she be likely to be? At her mommy's house? You can't find the person at their mother's house, so you know that something is not right. And if you cannot make communication with them, you can go ahead and make a missing persons report. It's okay if they're not missing and it's just a case where they didn't have their phone or you couldn't contact them, you know, but we don't want to guess and spell. Let's do the right thing, and the investigation will lead us in the right direction.
Let's see if we can empower some people with some things to make these investigations more successful. One of the things I find troubling sometimes is like when you go on social media and you see that somebody's missing, and then you see one picture, my God, and like in this age of social media and camera phone and everybody take picture, you couldn't find a better picture than that? Like, what are some of the things that we possibly could do so that, like, we could give the police more resources?
Well, first of all, we need to be aware of our co-workers, family, friends, whoever the person is. So if you have a child, you need to be aware of what the child, for example, was last wearing.
Yes.
So I put on a pink shirt and a blue pants. That helps.
Yes.
Because if I see a child in that outfit, I immediately know that it is highly likely that it's this person. But generally speaking, it's modern times. We must have good photographs, especially where the facial features are visible of individuals. Because think about it, if someone is missing and I post a silhouette of them being missing, who am I looking for?
Or a picture that's grainy.
Exactly. So you need to have a good, high quality headshot.
The person is 22 and they're in bubbles and clips in your most recent picture.
Right. So the age period, it really matters. So you need to have a recent photograph So the investigative process asks for a full body photograph, but it's okay to submit even more than one photograph because we know that the ladies, some of them, you know, the makeup can change your facial features.
Or the wigs.
Or wigs.
Hairstyles.
So it's good to have 2 photos so I can really identify who this person is.
Yes.
So you need to know the person's numbers and things like that because we can use that as part of the investigative process because we separate the investigation into 3 phases. The people portion, the quality portion, the technology portion. As it relates to the people portion, when you go to the station and you make a report, you need to know the biodata of the person, the correct age, birthday, their nickname. Because, for example, small children, unfortunately, some parents call them by their nickname to the point where they think that that is their name. So if you see them wandering and you call them by their correct name, they might not
respond.
even know, which is not to be practiced also. Teach your children their correct parents' name and the number for their parents. So if they come to the station, we can easily contact you instead of you freaking out about this thing.
What's your mommy's name? Mommy.
Exactly. You need to know the correct first and last name for both your mother and your father. It's not that hard. Practice it with them every day and have the teachers ask them regularly just so they know. So when you go to the station now, you provide all the biodata information for the individual, a recent photograph, and you give a statement. You'll be given a receipt, it's called a CR10, to say that yes, we got this report, and then the investigative process will begin. Now, it's very robust. It's not just a simple investigation as it might appear to you. So what we do, we use that information and immediately once you make a report, it's separated into 3 internal bodies of the JCF that get involved. So you have the IO, the investigating officer that does the bulk of the investigation, which include visiting the house of the missing person. Then there is a divisional intelligence unit. So we gather intelligence about the person because sometimes we find that when persons are missing, they've actually left Jamaica. So they might travel abroad and you not inform anybody, which you shouldn't do that. You should at least tell one person. So, and what if it's a case where they're trafficked? Then it can become an international investigation because we have Interpol, which is the international body for police officers, where we can get foreign police officers involved and so on. And then there is the CCN portion of it that deals with communication. So we will disseminate the information to the media houses as well as on our social media platform just to speed up the investigation. I have found that several times when we've posted missing person, immediately you'll hear, oh, I saw this person at a party down the road. So we'll be able to find the person quicker. As well as use of technology finally, which we do things like track the devices of the missing person. And I'd also advise parents with young children, use technology.
Yes, the air tags
and those things. You have air tags, all of those things. Put them in the bags, even in the hair. You know, keep it on their person.
One of the things, officer, I've noticed, and I would want to see more, and I see it sometimes, when we oftentimes see missing children or missing persons, we think that they're missing, and then you guys find them or they are located, and then there's not a follow-up to say found, right? So because I'm like, oh my God, I wonder if that person was found, because then that cuts down, so I can stop looking too, you know what I mean? So that we can know that. And also the family members, if you put out something that your family member or friend is missing or your child, if they are found, just put out that, you know, she has been found safely.
Sometimes the family is kind of embarrassed at the situation.
Yes, we find that a lot of times the family is embarrassed, but we do 2 things. One, there's a press release that is disseminated to all media houses in Jamaica, stating that the person has returned. And 2, we post it on our social media that the person has returned. But as Dennis correctly said, sometimes the family members are very embarrassed about the situation, especially when the person was not genuinely missing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, better to be safe than sorry.
Correct.
And, you know, I just prefer to err on the side of caution, and we go in and report. Do not be ashamed. It happens from time to time, and it's better to get the JCF involved the moment you have any problem. You know, sometimes you feel something in your belly button, and you just know something is not right. Follow your spider senses. Follow your intuition. Go and report it to the officers. They are here for you. They're here to serve, protect, and reassure. And like Sergeant Kayla Keane and other members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, they are trained in this area. You don't sit down and try police out nothing for yourself. Go to the officers so that they can get on it and hopefully bring your loved one back home, your loved one home safely. All right. So thank you so much, Sergeant, to you and your team. Thank you for all you do and continue the great work.
You're most
all right,
welcome.
Sergeant
Thanks.
Kayla Keane of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Remember, swift action can save lives. You must do all that it takes to keep our children safe. If you know or suspect that someone has gone missing, please don't hesitate. Report it immediately. Delay is danger, so do it now. TK is up next with the morning news.
Hey!